flowers bloom in spring. Tell me who gives the air that you breathe. Ooh. Everything that you need he will provide, so you may as well come on and give him a try. 'Cause he's awesome. Ooh, he's awesome. He's awesome. What would I do without him? Couldn't even do without him. I won't be without him. He's awesome.
What's up, ladies? Welcome to ZMR Ministries. I'm Pastor Z, and it's Friday, so you know what time it is. Girl Talk. Now, tonight's topic, I love it. I think it's a little unique. It's called Birkin, Chanel, and Louis Vuitton. It's all baggage. Now, why we seem like we can't just let it go? So, y'all know how we do on Friday nights. We just jump in there. We don't need no real intro. I'm here with my girls. Y'all know Bridget, and I got DeDe. DeDe, she got a whole bunch of names, but, you know, you'll hear them all probably in this conversation. But, ladies, we all got baggage, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So, why we can't let our baggage go? And y'all just said, you know, Birkin and Chanel and Louis Vuitton, you know, it's a little high class. And we got some high class baggage. And what makes it high class is, you know, we've been dragging it a little longer than we needed to. Right. So it got a little more value. Bridget, why we can't let go of this baggage, man?
Because it's my baggage. And my feelings was hurt. And I'm working on it, and sometimes I think I have to let my baggage go, but all of a sudden you say something to remind me that I might have to pull my bag back out again.
She meant that. She was like, to remind me, I may just, that was a little crazy.
What is it?
There's a little bit.
I think so.
DeDe, why you just still got your baggage?
Well, I think mostly because it's comfortable.
Right.
You know, it's always, change is always difficult for, I think, everybody.
Right.
So, like, especially it's always difficult switching. So, you're going to switch wallets, switch bags,
right.
You know, and you're like, well, this compliments me. So, you think, you know. So, you think that bag compliments you when it really just holding you down.
Right. What everybody do say, bag lady? You gonna hurt your bag. That's what the prophetess said, didn't she? I mean, we just drag stuff, and sometimes, honestly, we don't even realize we're still dragging it until we get into a situation, and then they come out, and you be like, where you come from? You know what I mean? And I think sometimes we hold on to it because we're afraid of healing, because healing hurts. And not only that, you know, if we're holding baggage against somebody, we feel like it empowers us, like it gives us power over them. Yeah. But when we really think about it, baggage only holds us back. So what do you think is the reason why you continue to hold on? Not just because it's yours, but have you started a process of healing?
Yes, I think one, a lot of times, like you say, you really don't even know that you have that baggage until you get yourself into another situation.
Right.
And you find yourself...
Or entanglement.
The entanglement. You find yourself overreacting to something, and it's not until I've had to sit back and tell myself, okay, that didn't warrant, you know, all of that, and really being real with myself and saying, okay, what caused me to act like that?
Right.
And then going back and saying, okay, this may have started then, and then being cognitive of that situation and knowing that when this happens, this causes this. And just, it really is being real with yourself. So that is something that I've had to do a lot. And that's just being honest to do a lot, not only in relationships with other men, and relationships with my family, relationships with friends, because they all play off of each other.
DeDe? I said, what was the question, Bridget?
The baggage, what makes you feel like you still have it?
Okay,
Have you done anything to start?
Yeah, to start healing.
Yeah.
That's it.
I think you have to get to a point in your life where you get tired. Cause mommy say, when you get tired, I ain't gonna tell you no more. So once you get tired, and so what I try to use in my life is I say, you know, I don't want to run around in the wilderness for 40 years.
Come on.
I'm in my 30s, and I think about that statement, and I said, you know, I'm letting my life pass me by holding on to a bunch of stuff that I need to let go, a bunch of people that I need to let go, whether it be relationships or even holding on to broken hearts or thoughts of stuff, you have to let it go. You have to give it to God. And you think about, like, when you travel, right? Mm-hmm. And you go to the airport and you got, 3 or 4 bags that you can check, or you can take them on with you. But let's say, for instance, your gates are far apart, like in life, your next destination. If you have all these bags, it's gonna weigh you down. You can't get to your next destination. So you might as well just go to the counter and check the bag and let them carry it.
Right.
Take your baggage to God and let it go. And that takes a lot of work, but you have to make a decision. Like, God gave us free will, so you have to make a decision and say, right, I want to let this go. You have to want to let go. You have to know that even though your flesh or you want to hold on to it, but what's best for me to do? Because what God has for me is better than what I have.
Mm-hmm. You know what? I like that she said, the bag check. You can check the bag in and you give it to somebody else and let them deal with it. So do you think we do that in life? As we meet people in our friendships and relationships, whether it's platonic, romantic, co-workers, church folks, whatever it is, do you think in life we kind of just check our bags and let other people deal with it?
I think sometimes you do. I mean, especially if you're not cognitive of the bags that you're carrying,
right.
You may inadvertently drop that bag off on somebody else.
That's true. And
it's not until you have real people around you that will bring that to your attention. And it may say, because I know you had to tell me, sometimes on some things you like, I know you extra sensitive. In that area, and I didn't realize I was.
And I will ask, where'd that come from? Like, who hurt your feelings about this?
Oh, yeah.
Because I will say something, or I say a certain word, and I'm talking about she's red, she's offended, her nose is flaring, she got a whole tube, and I'm not one to back up from that. I be like, what's all that about? All this, and she like, what? And if you use, yes it is, but if you use another word that may mean the same thing, you like. But it means the same thing, but once I start communicating with her and she let me know the history of, whatever that word was and why, she gets offended when she hears that word, I was like, oh, okay, well, let me just say this word, it still means the same thing. My question is still the same. It ain't gonna change what I'm trying to understand. But I think you're right. Sometimes we get in friendships or relationships and we inadvertently do it, because it's easier on us to just check it in. You get what I'm saying? And sometimes that can be damaging to our relationships, and sometimes, the other person feels like, okay, I can't carry that for you. Right. I got my own stuff. I remember when my brother was murdered, and it was just a real hard time, right? And one of my homeboys called me, and he's going through a hard time. Like, his marriage is breaking up. There is, the children are involved, and he's like, sis, I need to holler at you. And he sat there and talked to me. And honestly, I heard him, but I didn't hear him, right? Because I'm going through my own stuff. And so when he said, you quiet, what you got to say? I was like, nothing. I got my own stuff. I'm depressed. My brother just got killed. And you talking about your marriage. Hope it worked. And, it made him step back and say, you know what, I'm sorry. And I think at times, we've all been selfish. At some point or another, where we're like, I throw stuff on DeDe, and DeDe like, I got my own stuff I'm over here thinking about, I'm over here struggling with, and sometimes we can just, I guess, not even, yes, selfish is the word, but just, we're not thinking about it, right, because we're stuck in our own feelings and what we're going through. What about you, DeDe? Do you feel like we throw our baggage on other people?
I do, because, sometimes we have people who are hurting around us, like right. Sometimes you attract other people that are also hurting and depressed and going through, and you sometimes you realize that you have familiar spirits. So y'all really just friends or together because of what
the toxicity,
right?
Yeah.
And so it's always good to have healthy minded people around you that will actually tell you, okay, you're gonna have to it's time to let that go.
Right.
It's time for you to to grow. It's time to grow. And like you said, she told you, but you have to be willing to accept that too. It's like, okay, yeah, you're right. And I think that's a healthy friendship when you have somebody who's gonna be honest with you about, you come bringing your trash and dumping it on their ears.
Bringing your trash and dumping it on their ears. But you know what? It's so interesting Because, I know we were talking about when we were saying the expensive bags that I named. Because when you really think about a cheap bag, it doesn't last long.
Right.
That bag is just gonna eventually frail. The button gonna fall out, the strap break. And when it's a cheap bag, it don't hurt us to just throw it away.
Right.
But if we have a designer bag, baby, we trying to fix that. We gonna put a little glue here. We gonna take it to the store. Something. You got some Gorilla Glue. I'm gonna put my button back on here. I'm gonna take it up to the leather store. Let them fix it. It's more valuable to us.
You've invested.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. Whenever it's something, a particular baggage, whether it's emotional baggage, trauma that has happened to you, spiritual baggage, your heart is still somewhere else, it ain't healthy, holding on to friendships too long, anything, that you feel like I've invested time, I've invested finances, just investment, period, love, emotions, and you feel like, I don't want to let that go. It's worth working on because you feel like this has cost me a lot more. What's your take on that, Bridget?
I do agree on that, like in the sense where you say, okay, I've invested in this, but as well as when it comes down to the baggage of it, I think you begin to say, now I'm going to guard myself in a sense, and I'm not going to release this because I'm not going to allow this to happen to me again. So in a way, sometimes you don't want to admit that this has taken precedent in your life and value in your life because you say, as soon as I release this baggage or let it go, everything's going to happen again. Versus really dealing with the issue and saying, I'm going to fix the issue and give me a new bag instead of carrying this old tore up bag and just putting patches on it. When I never really fixed the problem. I just repaired the issue, but again, eventually the repair is going to tear up.
And you know what? It really boils down to you facing the mirror.
That's it.
And saying, how did I allow this to happen to me? And I understand we've all been in situations where we've been hurt or, things kind of hit us, from the left or from behind and it was unexpected. But once you look at that situation in retrospect, you're like, okay, I see I had a little insecurity and so I allowed this type of behavior, or I see I didn't really look at myself the way that I do and I allowed this person to mistreat me. You get what I'm saying? Or like one of my friends said a long time ago, she said she had a little altercation with somebody and the girl was like mad disrespectful. And I was like, girl, what you say? I was like, what? And she said, you know what? I didn't even pop off. And I was in shock. I was like, her name's Zena. Hey, Zena, my bad, girl. But she was like, you know what? I didn't even pop off. I just said, you know what? I'm going to take this on me. She said, because somewhere I misrepresented myself that made you feel like as though that's okay. And so, you know what? I'm going to apologize. But just know here moving forward, you can't do that no more. And I think it takes that sometimes to look back and say, okay, wait a minute, now this person is, really disrespecting me, or, they're being selfish, or they're not being mindful. Where did I misrepresent myself that I would allow this type of behavior? And now, before I knew it, I got on 1 bag, 2 bags, 3 bags, 4. It's just continuation of everything. What you got to say, DeDe? Because I talk forever.
I think that sometimes we need to take a step back and open this bag up and see
what's in it.
Yeah, because sometimes this stuff is rooted in stuff from our childhood, from like years ago, and you don't really know because you haven't taken the time to clean your bag out. Like you need to clean your purse out.
Right.
And clean your purse out, and you find stuff
everything.
You're like, girl, I was looking for this.
A piece of corn.
Right. So I think you need to take time to clear the clutter out. Like,
right.
Like you need to take time. I think fasting from like social media or like just being around friends and family, and just take a look at yourself and see like what type of changes, or like even just evaluate your life and say, how have I grown since last year?
Right.
How have people around me grown? How have they grown since last year? And then if you see that they haven't grown, because I have friends that I'm still friends with, or I still socialize with from high school, and I realize they still have some of the same habits from high school. Right. And I'm like, I can't surround myself. I have to separate myself from them because you don't want growth.
Right.
I've been out of high school for a long time.
We all,
You know, that makes me think when you say that. Bags are in seasons as well.
Right.
And you know, you have seasonal bags. And when you're carrying around a bag that's out of season, it doesn't fit where you are right at that time. And that's the same thing when it comes down to people. And that's the hard thing in realizing, because this may be my favorite bag because it goes with every outfit.
Right.
But if that's not the correct season to have it, then it's not going to be aligned.
They run a course.
Right. And that's the same thing with people that I know I myself have a hard time with, because I'm like, well, that's my favorite or something else, and I already know that where I am aligned in my life, that just right now for this season, these people are not supposed to be there.
Right.
So I think that's even the same thing where you have to go back and you have to evaluate, you know, yourself as well as your surroundings, and know exactly where you are.
And you know what? And sometimes, you know, it's not that you get rid of the bag or the person. It just may not go with that outfit.
Right.
It may not fit for that occasion. You get what I'm saying? And it's like, you know, you have to discern. You know, this season right here, where we were super close. Okay, now I'm super close over here with DeDe in this season. And it's not that I've thrown Bridget away. It's just that at this season, we're in alignment.
Right.
You know what I mean? And Bridget may be growing in another area, and then you'll start seeing things shift where you're like, okay, well, it seems like I'm more in alignment with Bridget in this season. And so I'm going to hang DeDe up in the closet. You know, not that I'm throwing her away, because, you know, she's a Birkin. Amen. You know what I'm saying? It's like you have to discern, you know, the timing of your life. And sometimes, you know, people get offended and they just cut off relationships.
Right.
And I've lost so many relationships because I've gone through different phases of my life. Y'all know when I go through, I'm very isolated. Y'all don't hear from me. You know, y'all literally have to come dig me from under a rock. I'm not letting y'all know what's going on. And for some people, that doesn't work for them. Because they feel like we're friends and I shouldn't have to find this out somewhere else. You should let me know about this. Okay, why are you trying to deal with this on your own? Let me help you. And it's like, I don't want help right now, okay? I want to be in my hole and in my pit. And when I'm ready to crawl out, I'll put a little light and let you in. But, you know, it takes a special type of bag to weather the storm. You get what I'm saying? You ever look at somebody's purses and you like, girl, they got a hole at the bottom. You need to throw that bag away. We be like, girl, I ain't throwing my purse away. And that's just like relationships. It's just like friendships. You know, people that you have to coexist with, or that you choose, you know, to coexist in your life. I thought you was gonna say something.
Oh no.
Yeah,
I was agreeing.
You know what? I want us to talk about the steps to actually releasing baggage. When do you know that it's time? What's the first step that people need to make?
I think like DeDe said, I know with myself is when you get tired. Like, I may be tired of repeating the same cycle. I might be tired of the things that I'm going through, you know, in a sense, or even too, I know where I've been growing spiritually, my taste has changed. So a lot of the things that I used to enjoy doing, I just don't enjoy anymore.
Right.
So you then have to look at yourself and start seeking and saying, well, where am I going? What is it that I want to do? And also being real with yourself. If you're not going to be real with yourself and say, these are my issues, this is the reason why I'm having these issues. And also, you're going to have to be ready for some constructive criticism. Because if you really want to know a real snapshot of yourself, then you do need to ask the people who you trust.
Right.
You know, and that will give you an honest answer, not an answer you want to hear.
Honey.
Yeah, so we'll most definitely tell you, and then to be able to take that in, you know, and say, okay, where do I need to work in my life? Is this something that's an issue? And then too, you may have to go with and be okay with that you might not get the apology you think you deserve. But at that point, in order for you to grow and to release yourself from some things, you're going to have to be good in saying, okay, I forgive whoever for this, and I'm okay where I am, and I'm going to move forward. And also, if you need to seek outside assistance, it's okay to seek counseling. There's nothing wrong with that. Mental health is important, and there's nothing wrong with that.
You know what? Me and DeDe talk about from time to time how iron sharpens iron. And that means, you know, in other words, there are some places that these ladies are, or some areas that y'all are way stronger than me, that I'm weaker in, you know, or I need some more help in. And what comes to mind is like, I'll just use Bridget for example. Bridget has a lot of patience, right? Which is a great attribute, but sometimes it be a little bit too much patience. And so what happens is she be carrying around these raggedy bags, people, and eventually you don't see the button fall off, you see the strap fall off, the zipper don't work, and she still be walking around with this bag. And I'm like, baby, let it go. The Goodwill don't even want that. Do you hear me? And she just won't let it go because she's just one of those really loving people. She would rock to the very end. I'm like, baby, let that bag go. You know what I'm saying? And what happen is she'll get so frustrated when she say, I get tired. Maybe your tire needs to come a little sooner. You know what I'm saying? And what happen is she'll blow up, and then she'll look at me like, can you understand what I'm going through? And I'm like, baby, you should throw that bag away a long time ago because it's already been fading. When I saw the color come off on your white t-shirt, that's when I knew you need to throw that bag away. And everybody, has different temperaments. Is that temperament? Okay, I said temperance. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Temperament, and everybody, their patience is on another level. And so it's like you need friends who can be honest with you, because Bridget in the beginning, it was just always emotional. I'm not you, you can't expect me to deal with people how you deal with it. I'm like, oh, okay, well keep getting your heart broke because you're stupid.
She rude.
I am that friend. Do you hear me?
Rude.
And she would be like, you don't have to say it like that. You don't have to call me stupid. And I'm like, but that's what you're doing right now. So I don't understand. Like,
she needs help in her delivery.
And yes, this is true. This is true, and they're helping me. Because I know my delivery can be a little raw. You know what I'm saying? But I think about me and DeDe friendship is, what's the word for dysfunction? It's the word. We have known each other so long, for years, right? What is it like? We've been friends since 2008, 2009, something like that. So like along 12 years, and we have been through so many stages of growth, where we both had bags that we was hitting each other with our bags. Literally throwing bags at each other, and that's what we gonna call it, bags. And it was just like we would like it would always be something where we're not talking anymore, and then we would come back around like ain't nothing happened.
It was crazy because like the way we would connect back, it would be like something that we didn't. It's not like I called her, she called her. It was like, oh, we met on set, or we saw each other in public.
Right.
Like I couldn't be like, okay, I don't want to see you today.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, okay, you here now, so you'll have a choice.
And you know what? It was never like when we saw each other, it was no eye roll. It was never a side eye. Because now we may have stopped being friends with a side eye roll a whole bunch, because she's small in stature. Don't get it twisted. She's a fireball, y'all. And when we would reconnect every single time, I was like, hey girl, this is my friend DeDe.
It was petty stuff though.
Real
but that's
petty.
how we both have, like you say, we've grown.
Mm-hmm.
We've grown through our baggage over the years. So I feel like that's a strength that we have in our friendship, because it's not like we remained where we were. So we've grown in our friendship, and like I think we have that understanding of each other. You understand me, and I understand you on the level that nobody else understands us on.
Which is because, because outside looking in, and Bridget have heard, other people like, why are you still DeDe friend? Like, are you serious? I be like, everybody need a little help. We all need a little patience. I know DeDe, I love my friend, and everybody else is looking at me like I be looking at Bridget. Like, girl, throw that bag away. But I will never throw it away. I just always put it in the back of the closet. Like, she ain't in this season right here. And then, some months pass by, and I be like, what? I'm going to put this little sling back on, because this sling was always a little cute. You know what I'm saying? And it's like you're just like Bridget was saying, designer bags or clothing or, whatever it is, they go through seasons.
Right.
And it's not to say that how many times, y'all, when you think about clothing lines, as Bridget brought that up, that something goes out of season, and then like years later you see it come back.
It come right back.
Bell bottoms, the little ruffle shirts, and you hear your parents say, man, we was wearing that back. We wore that as teenagers. You like, yeah, but it didn't look like this. Yeah, it did. It looked just like that. And so sometimes it takes people weathering the storm. The storms of life, they have to go through their own reconstruction, whether they go to the leather store and let their bag get fixed and you put a new strap on it or whatever. But it's not to say it's devalued. It's not to say it's devalued, and I just love the fact that, you know, we all speak our minds. We all speak it a little different, but we're very vocal, and it's like, I love that it is a prime example of what I was saying about DeDe, how we're always talking about iron sharpening iron, and that takes humility, right? Because you have to be willing to say, okay, maybe you are a little stronger in this area, or you know what, DeDe, maybe you was right. You know, I'm gonna give you a neck pop and eye roll, like, whatever. You know, I don't believe that. You wrong. But when you come back around, it's good to have friends who are patient in your process, right? Yeah. Because, you know, if you're connected to people who want to throw you away the first sign of a broken button. You get what I mean? Or a strap is broken and all you gotta do is say, yeah, I thought it would just clip it back on there and it's good. And it's important, ladies. I'm saying this, I'm not rambling. It's important to have people in your life. And every brand that I named in the beginning, Chanel, Birkin, Louis Vuitton, they're all different designers, right? And everybody has their own, you know, taste, their own preference. DeDe may say, well, I don't wear Louis Vuitton, but baby, I would Chanel you out. And Bridget may say, you know, no, I don't wear no other brand but Birkin. And I'm like, what's that, Louis Vuitton? Louis V. Right here, I had to think about it. I was like, who else left? But, you know, it's not to say that one brand is better than the other. It's just we all have our different preferences. We all have our different flavor and how we carry things. Now, Bridget, how important is it to carry your baggage in the right way, or do you always drop it?
I think sometimes you drop it. To me, you're always a work in progress.
Right.
And when you say you made it, then to me you did. Because you're constantly experiencing something different.
Right.
Yeah, in your life. And unless you're just stagnant and staying and never changing, or you can't say you don't want to change. Some people don't want to change.
It's just true.
So if you don't want to change, you're stuck in your ways, and you may say, I didn't drop my baggage, and the truth is you was never carrying it to begin with. Because you were giving it out to everybody else and asking them to accept your baggage.
Or putting it in plain terms, you know how people say, this is just me.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, you gonna be me over there.
Right. So that's the thing again, it goes back to it. So I do feel like, yes, I dropped my baggage. But the thing is, I'm going to pick it back up and acknowledge that, okay, I still have some growth in this area. You know, and acknowledge that I still have to continue to evolve.
So are we forever carrying baggage? Or is there ever a time that we drop it all and we just free?
I think we forever carry some type of baggage. You just have to determine what's worth carrying.
Right.
You know, if you getting beat up by something, just something you need to drop off.
Let it go.
If you in a relationship with somebody stealing from you, or they abusing, you know, your trust, you need to drop that off. But I think that when you go through life, you're gonna always carry some baggage. Whether it be something with your children or your family. Sometimes you have dysfunctional family members. And that's true. That's blood. So you know, you to a degree you have to carry that baggage, but you have to learn how to let God carry it for you.
Right.
And help you through it.
Yeah, and I think too, you know how you're saying you're carrying it and God will help you through it. There are some things that you are carrying that prevents you from repeating that same, like if you say if you're in an abusive relationship, I'm still gonna carry a piece of that because I remember what happened, but that doesn't mean that I'm gonna put it off on the next person. So I'm able to see these red flags a little bit faster. That'll prevent me from walking down that exact same road again and purchasing the exact same bag I already got in my closet.
Almost like the saying, forgive, not forget. And I hate it when people say, well, if you still remember, you ain't forgave. That is a whole entire lie. Sometimes you need to remember. You need to remember, you know, the things that you've forgiven people for, so you won't repeat that same mistake, so you won't invite them back into your life. I can forgive you when I see you, God bless you, pat you on the back, you know, and you go about your business. But that don't mean you don't get access back into my life. And so I'm glad that we're talking about whether we drop it off or not, because some people would say, no, you don't need to carry baggage at all. You know, because you're carrying this stuff into new relationships, new environments, new jobs. If you move to another city, you thinking, "Ooh, I got a fresh start," but you still have all that bitterness, that hatred, that unforgiveness. You know, all of those things that's still in your heart that you have not let go. And what you're gonna see is a repeat. How you say, you know what? you're meeting the same person in a different body.
Exactly.
You're dating the same person with a different name. And so where is the defining line where we say, okay, I choose not to carry this the rest of my life. I'm dropping this right now. And do you need help to do it?
I think, especially in our communities, we look at counseling as something
Negative.
right? And you need counseling. Everybody needs counseling. Your counselor needs a counselor. I heard that before. And there's nothing wrong with that, because sometimes you can't trust people that you talk to, even your best friend. May not give you the right advice. So you may need a professional to talk to help you through that, because there's a lot of people out here with mental illness.
Yes, it is.
And y'all
undiagnosed.
Yes, it's a lot of people out here dealing with mental illness from childhood trauma. A lot of men out here dealing with trauma, mental illness, Black men. And I'm not a health professional, but I feel like I have a spirit of discernment, and I can tell when somebody's dealing with mental illness. And it's really serious. So like, if you feel like your heart is so broken that you can't move on after years, you may be dealing with some type of mental trauma. You need to, speak to a professional. See if your insurance will take care of it, or whatever, your church or whatever. You need to get some help, because it's only going to repeat itself, and you don't want to when you keep repeating these same cycles, there's some mental trauma there that you need to look at and have a professional talk to. Right, it's obvious that there's something undealt with. You know what I'm saying? It's like telling somebody everybody can't be wrong. Right. At some point you gotta have that mirror experience and say, okay, maybe I'm a little bit jacked up, but it takes you coming to a place of maturity. And saying, because you can have people around you that's telling you the truth, and you can still reject it because you don't accept it for yourself. And it's gonna take, that moment of aha, or something extremely traumatic happening for you to look at yourself and say, okay, I'm humble by this. I'm looking around and I'm by myself. I have nobody in my corner. There's no one wants to be around me. Something must be really wrong. Everybody can't be wrong. So I thought about that when you were talking.
I can even look too, I know for myself, I have a daughter. So for me, my main thing why I feel like it's important for me to acknowledge the issues and the baggage that I carry is because I don't want to pass that down. So a lot of times, generational curses. So a lot of times the things that you experience from your mama, and she got it from her mama, and if you go back and look, you're gonna see, oh, that was happening 3 generations ago. So to me, it's very important that I say I'm gonna correct what I didn't like. That was something that was causing me to react like this, because when I go back and take a look at it, that's something that was generational. And I refuse to carry it along because it's gonna stop with me. So that's one of those things to those of you who are parents or who are planning on being a parent one day. It may be some things that you say, I don't want this to carry along through my lineage anymore. And I'm gonna take the responsibility of it to clean myself out, to make sure that I'm not giving that to my heir, to everybody else.
And and just because it was passed down don't make it okay.
No,
because there are a lot of people that say, well, my mama was like this, and her mama was like that, and her mama was like that, and it's like, do that make it right?
No.
You know what I'm saying? And I think, was it you and me talking? We was having a conversation about something one day, and we were talking about generational curses. And I was just like, when you talk about things being passed down, if you didn't like it when it happened to you, and your mama said she didn't like it when it happened to her, then why you gonna perpetuate the curse? You get what I'm saying? And sometimes we get locked in that because we do get, comfortable in that seat of, well, this is just the way it is.
This is just what it is.
You know what I'm saying? And nobody around you has ever changed. You've never seen an example of change. You've never seen an example of saying, you know what, I'm gonna break the mold. This generational curse stops with me. And so being the first is scary. Because you're like, am I doing this right? What if they don't like me? What if I'm, the one that's ostracized? I'm on an island by myself. Nobody I want to, because when you're from a dysfunctional family and you're the different one in the family, you are going to be ostracized. And not only that, you want to be in a way, because you're like, you know what, I love my family, but I'm going to stay over here. Because that right there, like Bridget said, y'all both have kids. You're like, I don't want my son around there. I want my daughter to pick that up. You know, I'm still dealing with the trauma myself. Right. I don't want to pass that on. And so it's like you have to think ahead. Right. When you think about baggage. I don't have kids right now, but it's like, okay, Bridget knows, I'm always saying, you know, I got to kill this before I have kids. I got to kill this before I get married. I got to kill this now while it's with me. Don't wait till you're in a relationship. Don't wait till an opportunity comes. Don't wait till you have a child and say, I'm finna change this. No, because you're already in the mess and it's so deeply rooted that your child is now born into it, and now you gotta undo stuff in them while you're trying to undo it in you. And it's like, if you couldn't do it for yourself, how are you gonna do it for them? Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And so I wanna say something when it comes to relationships and baggage. I remember, I don't know when it was some years ago, I was listening to Megan Good and Devon Franklin. My bad if y'all watch this. But I remember her saying she had so much baggage. Mm-hmm. And, you know, we're always taught, you know, deal with your baggage before you get in a new relationship. And she was saying sometimes God will send the right person to help you unpack. Right. You know, where you don't have to do it all on your own, because if you could, you would have. Right. And so he'll anoint somebody to come in your life, not just a man, but friends. Right. You know, whether it's somebody at church, whether it's a co-worker that, you know, that has a strong faith, where they're able to identify that and say, you know what, I'm going to help you unpack this. Mm-hmm. So unpacking, as we know, is not always easy, right? Mm-hmm. Think about when you go on vacation. How many times do you come home from vacation and that suitcase still be sitting in a corner, you know, weeks later, and you find yourself now pulling out clothes out your suitcase, putting it on, and just like, okay, I'll get to that in a second. So what's the value in unpacking, and do you always need somebody to help you?
I think the value in unpacking, again, sometimes when you dig it off in your purse, you found something that you didn't know was there. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it ends up being a good thing. Maybe the moment you need a meal. Right. So sometimes those are some things where you sit there and you may realize and say, it may be stuff that you used to do that you love doing, but you stopped doing it because of the baggage that you picked up along the way. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you find some things that you've lost that really made you happy, you know, and you can actually start utilizing that again. Or releasing that baggage can also open up some other places in your life that you didn't even know that you could cross over into, mm-hmm. and that you can see. And it can also open doors to other opportunities and to other people that you were never exposed to because you were still carrying along this baggage. Right. So I think it rounds you out, you know, as a whole. And again, even when you go back to when you were saying about at the airport, mm-hmm. It's crucial that when you're traveling that you're able to move around. Right. If you're carrying around too much baggage or too heavy of a bag, you're going to be late for your next flight, or you might completely miss it. Yeah. So the main thing is, when you're trying to carry around a bag that's too heavy for you, you're going to end up missing what's really meant for you. So it's not until you evaluate what you need for this trip, mm-hmm. and decide exactly what is it that I need to carry with me. Because again, you always carry something because that's what made you. But at the same time, you need to see if what you're carrying is too heavy in order for you to continue your journey.
And carrying too much will make you a hoarder.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And because you're around you.
No, because you're continually adding on. Y'all ever watch this show and you just like, how you live? Right. Y'all know how I am, baby. If it's too much just sitting around, I'm like, I can't do it. Y'all move all this stuff. I mean, even these cups right now, you know, I ain't gonna move y'all juice, but I'm just saying, you know, sometimes I'm claustrophobic is what I'm saying. Like in real life, if we go out to eat, they know I'm moving plates around. I need my space to be empty, right? And it's like, when you think about life, you can hoard with bags. Mm-hmm. And it, you know what? And your life exudes that, and it repels people. It's just like, you got too much. I can't. Why is it you? Okay, prime example. Well, I'm not gonna say their name, but we know the same person, and we actually had this conversation where it's just like, does it seem like every time you go around them, it's just your whole spirit just like, is it just me? Like you start feeling like, what is the deal? Then when you talk to other people, they like, no, I and you know what the word was that I used? I said, girl, I gotta take them in doses. Like I can't be around them every day. I can't talk to them every day. Cool people, but honey, you need limited time and space in my life. And so when you know it's somebody like that just has, I mean, you could be in good spirits. Hey, how you doing? And then, child, just you like, goodness, man, go on and give them a coffee. Cause I mean, you ain't living. I mean, I ain't trying to wish death on them.
They'll drag you down.
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. Is just, but I also want to say perspective, you know, and then I'm gonna move to DeDe. But you know, I remember this was a long time ago. I had bought this bag from DeDe's Discount. I love DeDe's. And it came with 2 straps, and I was like, this is stupid. It has all these extra buttons and straps. And what I didn't know was the extra strap was you could turn it into a backpack.
Oh, okay.
And so I remember I was about to just throw it away. I was like, I mean, this is just, maybe somebody else was gonna buy it and somebody trying to boost it and he threw another strap in there. And she was like, girl, no, look, you button this one here. And it took somebody else to look at my baggage and see it in another perspective. Like, look, you don't have to just wear it one way. You can wear it in 2 different ways. You can carry it different. So when you putting it on your shoulder and you got too much and it's weighing you down here, you know what? Now you can put it on your back and you can carry it better. Do you know what I'm saying? And I think that's important, you know, when it comes to unpacking, that you have someone who's God sent to help you unpack, because they'll help you see it in a different perspective.
Right.
What about you, DeDe?
I just think that, you know, it's important to have a prayer life.
Yes.
You know, and
absolutely.
one thing I always pray for is discernment, because sometimes, you know, you have people around you or things that you're carrying, and then like sometimes the Holy Spirit is like, you know what, it's time for you to let that go. If you want to go to this place that you're praying about, because you can be praying about something and you holding on to something, maybe a bad attitude, or maybe some depression, or maybe a relationship that you don't want to let go. Because you may say, well, I want to be married, or I want to be in a relationship, but you still crying over Earl.
Why she always coming up with these old names?
You still crying over Earl.
Willie.
You like, he done moved out here, got married, you still crying over him.
He would burn him dead.
Girl, move on, let it go. Like, sometimes you just have to just be like you just have to like make a mental decision and say, I'm letting it go.
Right.
Like I gotta drop this. And like when those thoughts creep in, you can feel them when they coming. You gotta switch it. You gotta turn you some music on, put you some preaching on, call a friend, get out, go ride your bike, go walk, whatever. You gotta interrupt that before we get there. You know, you can feel it coming. And you feel yourself going into that depression, or you feel yourself, but you gotta fight it. It's a fight. It's a fight. You gotta fight and pray. So you pray, Lord, you gotta help me through this. But you know what? Right now, I'm not staying in this house. If I stay here, I'm gonna end up in the bed crying. Or I'm gonna end up calling him, or I'm gonna end up calling her, going off. You gotta switch. You gotta be quick.
Right.
You gotta be quick. You know, you gotta fight it. Just as quick as it's coming, you gotta be quick to make a new decision.
That's true. And I like how you say, because, you know, oftentimes when we're praying, you know, when you pray something out, you gotta pray something in. So when you're on your knees and you praying, I bind up depression, God, and I call forth peace of mind. I rebuke chaos and I call forth a calmness. You have to replace it with something. Don't leave that empty space void, because then, you know, like we know in the word, that spirit will come back and be like, oh, you done swept up and cleaned up. Now I'm gonna go get my homies. Hey, y'all, come on over here. And then now you dealing with stuff where you like, wait a minute, I don't even know where this came from. I ain't never dealt with that. But that is so true. A prayer life is so important. And sometimes, and her saying that, it just lets you know, because this was my next question. But I mean, it just led right into it, because sometimes when you're letting go of baggage, can't nobody help you.
No.
And I remember I was just hurting. This situation, this real traumatic situation that happened to it, and I felt betrayed, and I felt like I had been done wrong. And I was just like, oh God, you know, I was like turning into a Tasmanian devil. Like, I was angry. And I remember the Holy Spirit was like, you gonna let that go? Like, playing it onto my clear as day. And I was like, but they did this, and you know. And I'm crying because I'm brutally hurt. And I was sitting in the car, and he was like, you gonna let that go? because I have better for you over here. And I can't take you over there until you let this go. So in other words, I was delaying myself. Like DeDe said, about going through the airport, and like Bridget said, dragging out this baggage, it can delay you or it can cause you to miss it altogether. And when I think about it, that was in 2017. I think about where I am now, and I'm like, I'm glad I let that go. It wasn't easy. It took strength, and it took a practice, constant practice of strength of saying, I'm gonna let this go. I'm gonna let this go. So every time, like DeDe said, it's gonna come back up. And every time it came back in my mouth and I felt my eye twitching, like in anger, I was just like, Lord, give me the strength to let it go. When I felt myself getting depressed, Lord, give me the strength to let it go. When those suicidal thoughts would hit my mind, Lord, give me the strength to let it go. It was hard, but it's like every day that I made a conscious decision to say, I'm dropping this baggage, it got easier and easier and easier. And before you know it, you heal. It's almost like a breakup. We done all been through some breakups. And baby, we be feeling like we about to die. Do you hear me? I mean, a man break your heart. Your friend can do you wrong, you hurt, but it's like, I almost said the N-word. It's like a dude break your heart. And you be like, I'm dead. Yeah, I can't. Don't resurrect Lazarus. I mean, help me, Jesus. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, you get through that process of healing. And then one day you wake up and you ain't even hurt no more. You don't know when it happened. You don't know what day. You don't know what time. It's just like you think about it one day, it hit you, and you be like, hey, you cried about Earl no more. Hey, you cried about Harold, Willie. All these old names. Every time DeDe bring up a dude, she be like, she always have these old names. I'll be like, girl, who you dating?
Not like my old girl.
Oh my gosh. But seriously, I think it's there are some times that God will send people in your life y'all, Lord help, that He will send people in your life to help you unpack, to get through it. And then like DeDe said, there are times when you just got to get it in for yourself. And those times are crucial, because it's that mental warfare is for real. It's like mad serious, and it's like, but you have to, bear down and just say, I'm not coming out until I have the victory. And sometimes that's harder, but we've all gone through it. It's almost like the old saying, some roads you just have to travel alone. And it's no matter what encouraging word they give you. I mean, you can hear all the scripture, all the sermons, you'll still hang up or, end that sermon or whatever it is and be in the depression spot. You can be in a room full of Chanel's and Birkins and Louis Vuitton and all these other bags and still, want to put one of the bags over your face and just suffocate yourself because it's hard, it's difficult. But we've all, I know, have been overcomers when it comes to baggage. Not saying that we still don't have any. We all got our stuff. We all know. We all a trip in some kind of way that, that get on our, we get on each other's nerves, trust me. Like wholeheartedly, right? And whatever. Whatever, me and DeDe, we pray for us, we special.
We ain't had no episode in a long time.
It's been a minute, but when they happen, I'm telling you, we need help. We need Jesus. We need Jesus. But it's like, it takes that special kind of person, is what I'm saying. But we've all been through our own process of relinquishing baggage, helping each other unpack, and then, going through our own isolated phase where it's just me and God saying, unpack. Can y'all just give a final thought to our sisters out here, our ladies, who are may be going through it right now? Like, man, I got so much baggage. Thank y'all for helping me to see that I do and keeping it real. Now that you say this and I see y'all ladies talking, my friends been telling me this. Oh my God, I got another friend too, we'll trip, but she helps me and I help her. It's iron sharpening iron. Just give a word of encouragement, on this Friday. And I know usually on Friday nights we tripping out, but y'all, this is for real. This stuff is serious. That baggage, I'm telling you, the next phase, that dimension that God is trying to take us in, I mean, and even the ones that say, I'm not really spiritual like that. Just in life, that baggage would keep you from promoting in a job. It'll keep you from gaining new friends. It'll keep you out of relationships. Opportunities will close the door on you, and your reputation will precede you. Do you hear me? It precedes you. And so what happen is people, they'll identify you with your baggage. Anytime you see a homeless person come down the street and they pushing that shopping cart and they got an extra suitcase and they shopping cart full and they got on 3 coats, they got on 4 hats, it's 104 degrees outside, and you like, you ain't hot? And you can see that baggage from a mile away. When we go through the Trinity River or just a dump truck, you may not even know where it is, but you smell it. And it starts reeking and stinking, and those old wounds, y'all know how old wound just starts stinking. You won't tend to it. You ain't let it heal. You ain't put no Neosporin. You just nasty. Now, I mean, you ain't nasty. Help me, Lord. But you know what I'm saying? Like, it just gets really gangrene and infected, and that's how you looking in life. You can be beautiful, sis. You can have your hair done. You can be educated. When we look at you, we're like, okay, sis, yes. And then we around you, and I'm like, I mean, I broke your neck off your shoulders. You crazy. You know what I'm saying? We've all been there. And you may be that chick right now that you're just like, I got all the baggage in the world. Or you may be the one that's just like, okay, I'm aware I have baggage. I just need help unpacking it. I have the right people around me, but maybe this is my season of isolation. How do I decipher that? And like DeDe said, it's going to take prayer. It's going to take prayer and God revealing it to you. So I just want y'all ladies to give just a final word of encouragement, upliftment, whatever, God puts on your heart for our sisters, because y'all, we got to get out this baggage, all right?
So I think, I'll use myself as an example. When I began to let go of my baggage, God began to speak to me. I began to see things clearly, because there's a time when you can tell when it's time to let go, because you start getting tired, people start getting on your nerves. Like, your patience runs out with where you are in that particular point in your life, or whoever that person is or that thing. It could be a job, it could be a friend, it could be a relationship or whatever. It just starts to bear down on you. You start feeling tension all the time. You just, any little bitty thing, that's God trying to tell you, it's time for you to move.
Right.
It's time for you to move. And so when I as I got older, I matured, I started to just listen to that voice, and I would feel tension in my neck. This, for some reason, that's how God speaks to me. He's like, it's time for you need to move, let that go. And when I started letting stuff go and letting people go, and then started just working on me, I began to do elevate in my life. I started my own business. I really got serious about it, and then I started elevating all over, not just in my work life, but who I am as a person. I just stopped responding to certain things. I stopped being available to certain people, and I noticed that I was elevating just in my purpose in my life. I saw things different. So I think that, and then also goes back to the root of the problem. Sometimes you have to forgive without getting an apology, like Bridget said, and you can't let people serve you what their problems are. Because sometimes, somebody will come to me, or I'll see somebody and they'll be like, and it's almost like they're giving you a platter with their poison on it. If you have an option to either take it or say, you know what, no thank you, I'm going to stay where I am in this happy, peaceful place. And that's that baggage. But when you have that baggage of junk, you have to begin to take that stuff out. Take off that attitude, take off those old ways, take off those old friendships that are no longer growing, those people who are holding you down, and surround yourself and bring things that you can use that will help you grow further, because life is short. Yeah. And a lot of times we as women, we waste a lot of our years, our good years, in a bad relationship.
Bad friendship.
Trying to hold on to that bag. I'm gonna doctor this bag up. This is my favorite bag, girl. I love this. I love him, girl. He might be whooping me up on that, but I'm good. No, let it go, because God got something better and bigger for you.
Right.
And everybody have you have an idea of how you want your life to be. And it seems real far-fetched. But God will give us those things. But we have to be able to move on and let go.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I am in my life, where I begin to let things go and I see things come to fruition in my life.
Right.
I think for me, in my journey, and it's even in the same thing. One, if you can take the first step and say that there is work in me that needs to be done, and acknowledge that and start searching as to why do I feel this way, what's going on, and make a conscientious decision to say that I'm going to keep pushing until I get through it, that's a step.
Right.
You know, and acknowledging and knowing you're doing it. It's not going to be foolproof. It's not going to be perfect. And it may not even look the way that you think it's supposed to look. But the fact of the matter is that if you get up every day and say, I'm going to make a difference, I'm going to stop doing this today, I'm going to get up 30 minutes early today, and it goes down from the mental to the physical. If you're not happy with the way you look, then say, I'm going to get up 15 minutes early today and just do 10 sit-ups. It's a start. And the thing is, it's starting. And you have to start, and then you have to stay consistent with what you're doing. And then at the same time, like you say, if I'm going to change something or I'm going to take something out, then what are you going to fill yourself with? So at the same time, I'm going to surround myself with positive things. Take the negative things out your life, from what you listen to what you eat, to what you see. All those things in your life, you have to change and say, okay, if this is an area that I feel like I need to work on, then I'm going to stop doing this. I may listen to this station. And for me, when I really fully realized the purpose that's in my life and what God has planned for me, my tastes changed, my desires changed. Because to me, I said, I know where I am. I'm not a bad person, but I can be better. And it's about, for me, it was the servant that God was. I want to be a servant as well. But how can I serve somebody else if I'm not healed in what I have? Because what I'm going to give you is bad fruit. So it's important for me to be able to give out good fruit and to plant good seeds, but I got to fix what's riding in me. And I may not even realize that this part is riding in me, and it takes surrounding myself with the people who are going to be real and to be able to tell me that. And then at the same time, when they see me going back to where I was, you got to have people around you that's going to say, hey, we're not doing that anymore.
Right.
You know, and at the same time can pull you back from that, or can even pull you up to it. And it is okay. I've said this before, I have an issue with being by myself, sitting in the house all day long. But it took a realization for me that sometimes I have to get into this quiet place in order to even hear what God is trying to tell me, in order to even deal with myself, because it's my issues. So I have to take the time, and it may be even journaling, writing down when something happens and saying, okay, I felt like this when this happens, and you begin to see a pattern. So it's being cognitive of the things that's setting you off. And then saying, well, how am I going to fix it? And it's accountability with yourself as well. But just take that first step. It's okay. And don't be afraid. Because whatever God is willing to push out of your life, He's going to fill it with something better.
Right.
But you just got to trust and have faith that it's better on the other side, and you got to get through it. It's not going to be easy. It will not be easy. But when you're done fighting and you're pushing through it, the reward is going to be so much greater.
Do I even need to say anything? Because y'all did that. But I just, I want the saying you are what you eat is so important. Because if you eat healthy things and you take in healthy things, then we'll see the manifestation. You ain't got to tell people you're losing weight, they'll see it. And it goes the same thing for your spiritual man, your mental, your psyche, all of that. What are you taking in? Are you taking in a bunch of junk like Bridget said? Or what are you listening to? What kind of conversations are you having? What do you allow people to bring to you? Or like DeDe said, I stopped engaging with certain types of people because they weren't conducive to me relinquishing this extra excess baggage in my life that I know I don't need. And I understand that some things I can drop right now. I understand that some things God's going to send people to help me. And I understand some things are going to fall off as I go. As like Jesus said, some were healed as they went, or like the word of God says, some people were healed right then. That means, you know what, I'm gonna drop this. I didn't need nobody else. I didn't have to go get all this. I didn't have to dip in the Jordan. He didn't have to spit in the clay and put it in my eye. He just said, take up your bed and walk. Boom. That's one of those situations where I'm like, God, you know what, take this away from me. I ain't even got a baggage no more. Look at God. And then sometimes, you need a little help. You know what I'm saying? Where the story in the Bible where the guy's friends dropped him through the roof. They cut the roof open. And his friends dropped him down so he can get the healing that he needs. That's what friends are for. Sometimes you need those friends to carry you on the bed and open the roof for you and drop you down and say, hey, we gonna do this. If we have to have an intervention, we gonna check on you. We gonna hold you accountable. You know what I'm saying? We gonna make sure you get up out of this. And then sometimes God will send that one that'll come into your life and you feel like you're unworthy of even the help that you need. He'll send that right one and they'll say, I'm gonna help you unpack. And you know what? You can't be embarrassed. You can't be ashamed. You can't have guilt when you just like, I'm finna, like DeDe said, you know, early in the conversation when she was saying, you gotta be open about it. You gotta, or like Bridget said, you gotta be willing to admit it. You know, you can't hide this stuff because we see it anyway. You stink. You know what I'm saying? It shows you, and this is not a personal attack, but what I'm saying is garbage stinks. And we can tell that you're wounded, and we know that, like I was saying earlier, when you have an old wound, it stinks. Y'all know what I'm talking about. It doesn't smell good. It's not a good look, sis. And so we want people to be healed. We want people to be whole. I know we have a good time laughing and stuff on Friday nights, but we're not giving you anything that we're not applying to ourselves. And y'all may see these cute faces sitting at this table and our cute white teeth, and we're laughing, but baby, we have all looked like this at one point. just is thrown off and crazy. Just is thrown off and crazy and ignorant, you know, when we ain't got on no makeup. And I'm telling you, hair all over our head. We've been there, but we got through it. So whether you're a Birkin, whether you're Chanel, Louis Vuitton, whatever your flavor may be, whatever your taste is, let go of the baggage. It's time, sis, because we got some places to go. We got things to do, and we want to see you at the top. We want to see you walking in victory. So I thank you for joining us. I pray that our conversation, our personal testimonies, our wisdom nuggets, whatever it is that we poured out, that you took it in, that it blessed your life. For those who are, you know, are carrying baggage, and you're like, you know what, I'm going to do what DeDe said. I'm going to check that baggage right at the gate. I'm not carrying it through the airport. I'm not going to be delayed, and I ain't going to miss my flight. You know what I'm saying? Or you may be like Bridget. You may have some people around you right now where you're like, they're out of season. Let me hang them up for a second. Whatever step or stage that you are in, you can make it. That baggage can be dropped and you can get through it. So we want you free, we want you whole, and we want you to have the victory. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, ladies. I love you guys. You know what it is. Every Friday night is Girl Talk, where we keep it real, we keep it raw, but we keep it classy. Thank you for joining us. Y'all have a safe weekend. See you later. Bye, y'all.
Everything allow me to make a plain. Listen to what I say. The man in me. I've been down before, but now I'm UP. I've got the same body upgrade, mind, body, brains, and put that on everything. I'm moving forward, don't wanna look back. I got my life and I got it on track. Gotta keep it pushing, so let's bring it back. Get your mind, get your brain, let's do it. Get your body, get it up.